You know what? Fuck, man. I was going to drink this Track 7 beer. Oh, here we go. Oh my God. Their history is fucking 3 sentences. God damn it.
Who, Track 7? Oh.
Was established as an outlet for creative expression through unique and artisanal beers. So that is nothing. That's fucking no information. God damn
Hey,
it.
at least they have that. When I went and looked up Snow Peak Brewing,
Yeah.
they don't even have a fucking website.
God damn it. So frustrating. How am I supposed to talk about you, Track 7?
Oh, we'll stay out late to gastrobate and hang out with our friends. We'll share a few good microbrews, the good times never end. From seaside to the mountains, we'll travel many lands. Eateth of their pub cuisine and hear their local bands. We'll drink it from a bottle in a can or what's on tap. We'll rate each brew as we do with fairness and a map. Spirits are up, we'll fill our cup, the wind is in our sails. We'll drunkenly mix metaphors and travel happy trails.
Welcome back to Hoppy Trails, where even though we've had a lot of trail mates recently, sometimes it's just Nick and I that are taking you down this hoppy trail.
I hope we don't bore you.
We will do our best not to bore you.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Travis. And today we have no special guests. It's just Nick and I. We're going to talk about some fun stuff. We've got some food, some beers, as we always do. And look, we're always glad to have you with us. So thanks for coming along with us once again down this hoppy trail.
Thank you.
Now, we do from time to time mention at the end of our shows, we talk about Patreon and Instagram and things like that. I just want to throw something out at the beginning of the episode. Participating with us on Instagram is something that really allows more people to see us, allows more people to experience us. We appreciate everyone that does that. But I would like to ask everybody, after you get done listening to this episode, go find 1, 2, 25 friends who you think would be interested and get them to listen to this show. Spread the word, help us out. The more people that hear us, the more reach we have and the more cool stuff we can do and bring to you.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
It's yeah. I actually am a little guilty. I mean, I've shared it, out with a lot of friends and everything, but I guess I should go ahead and start posting about it on my own Instagram. Although, honestly, I rarely ever post on Instagram myself, so it'll be like a shot in the dark, see if we pick up any additional listeners, but also really cool if we do. So I'll start doing that.
Yeah, so the call to action starts with Nick. Get out there, spread the word, my man.
I would say you should also do it as well, but you don't even have an Instagram other than the Hoppy Trails. So
that's true. Yep. I am very conspicuously absent on the social medias. The only participation I really do is through the Hoppy Trails stuff. And but it is good. I do love sharing that stuff. So yeah, we're happy to do it. So Nick, you really ventured out as far as the beer you're drinking today. You really went out and found something new and unique that you'd never seen before. Is that correct, Nick?
Yeah. No, not really. It's a Notion Light again. For those that are new to listening to us and everything, I'm pretty open about some of my health issues and everything. I'm a diabetic, and so I'm a bad diabetic, and that I still enjoy beer. But you know what? YOLO, and you only live once. Enjoy beer while you're here.
It's true.
And so I've been drinking light beers lately just to take it easy when I do want to enjoy one. But again, I'm maybe drinking 2 beers a week, if that. But I'm trying to be healthy and get things in check and lose some weight, and so that I can be here longer to enter your ear holes.
But in a safe and consensual way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, you're choosing to listen to us. We're not forcing it on you. So
that's right. You're letting us in. And what a great time that we live in, right? Because you can get a beer that is lighter, that's going to be a lower calorie, it's going to have, fewer of those carbohydrates and like that, but is still delicious. I mean, you couldn't say the same thing 10 years ago, right? You were basically limited to the big 3 in most places. A couple of places had some other alternatives, but we didn't have a crafty American light lager that you could turn to.
Yeah. I mean, back then, they're still around today, unfortunately, but they serve their purpose, for shotgunning and everything. But I'm glad that, these light ones are still around in craft form and everything, just because it's something that's really nice to enjoy if you don't want to get inebriated. And yeah, it's just, or if you're trying to watch your figure like I am.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Now I'm actually going to break into a beer that was gifted to me. This is from Sacramento. I'm going to crack it open right here so you can all hear this. This is
I cracked mine earlier because I couldn't wait. That was
there. You
good.
go. And
Yeah.
this is a little beer called Knuckin' Futz by Track 7 Brewing Company out of Sacramento. Yeah.
Very, very good beer. Or at least when I
Yeah,
drank it some 5-6 years ago. It's been around for a while.
it has. And the funny thing is I just recently tried it for the first time when these were brought to me a couple of weeks ago, and really a great beer. I'm surprised I hadn't had it before. But Nick, you've had some experience with this one before yourself.
Yes, I've had it quite a few times. We've been to their brewery before, but we didn't um, imbibe there. I think it was during COVID, and we made a trek out to Sacramento area. Cheers.
Cheers.
And to pick up beers. I think this was COVID very early on, where obviously everything shut down, but breweries were still kind of open for to go can pickups.
Yeah.
And it was actually Claim Steak Brewing that's out east of Sacramento, and we went out there specifically for a beer that was called Sticky Nicky.
Sticky Nicky.
Yeah, very dank IPA for a popular, well-known holiday. And so while we were out there, we were driving back, and I asked Monica, I was like, hey, see what other breweries are on our way back that are open today for can pickup. And so Track 7 was also open, and we picked up a 4-pack of Knuckin' Futz.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an excellent beer. I'm giving it a taste right now. I'm really happy with it. Anybody who's watching on video can see that color. Beautiful color there.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a, let me see, peanut butter cup inspired porter with peanut butter cup, cacao nibs, and lactose. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Generally, when you get lactose in there, I expect kind of a thicker, heavier mouthfeel than we've got here. And this really does not have that heavy mouthfeel. It's really light, and it's refreshing.
Yes.
And it definitely has. I mean, I can see peanut butter cup inspired. It absolutely is. It's not that really heavy that kind of beats you over the head with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you take a sip, and it definitely has that yeah. There's the hints of it there. It's got the essence. You know what I mean?
The essence of the PB.
Water, the essence of wetness, or whatever it is.
By Calvin Klein.
But this is a little 7.3%. Doesn't feel like it at all. Definitely something that, this is actually really nice. Almost kind of like a, not really a dessert beer. You know what I mean? It doesn't have that sweetness to it, but it's like I would absolutely drink this while I'm eating a bowl of ice cream, So it definitely has that, like I said, the essence of the chocolate, the peanut butter in there. Really a great beer. I wasn't able to get a lot of information on Track 7 because, the history is 2 sentences on their website, so that really didn't give me much to go on here. But according to this can, you see, they were established in 2011. So I've got that little factoid for you. And apparently the name just comes from the fact that, they are near the, the General Pacific Railroad lines.
Used to be Western Pacific, yeah.
Yeah, Western Pacific Railroad lines, and because of the important history that the railroads played in California, the Sacramento area, the West in general, and that's where they picked up the name. Here's the thing. They don't spend a lot of time putting a big story on their website. They put that time into crafting delicious beers, and this is an example of one. It's very good.
Facts.
Very
right
good
there.
beer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Trains.
Yeah. Now, Nick, I saw you made some ribs this weekend. And my understanding is those were generosity ribs. Those weren't even ribs for yourself.
No, so the previous weekend I had done ribs. And I brought 2 racks over to our good friend Fox's house for dinner. And then I had one extra rack, which I gave to my neighbor directly across the street from us when we got back.
Yeah.
And his brother's been visiting from out of town. They told me the next day how amazing the ribs were. And at one point, I think Monica and I were out there talking with him and his wife and his brother, and I think they were planning on mentioned that they were planning on having a barbecue. What was this past weekend?
Yeah.
And he asked me if I would smoke some ribs for him, and I was like, absolutely. And so I went with them to the chef store here. I think that's for me at least. It's pretty consistent, good St. Louis styles ribs.
Yeah.
From there. And so and they come in a 3-pack. They average about $30 for a 3-pack. Which is
that's not bad.
No, and they're really nice. Like, these are some of the best ribs. Like, even better, like I can't remember the brand that Costco would carry, but a popular brand, either like Smithfield or Swift or whatever.
Yeah.
Far better than those. It's some label called like Chairman's Reserve or something like that. But
yeah.
So he bought the ribs, and then we just got back home, and I went in my fridge and I prepped them up, removed the membrane, and then the next morning I put the rub on and just threw them on the smoker, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I mean, very basic. It's funny, I used to not wrap my ribs. But now I've started wrapping them. So I don't quite follow that popular 3-2-1 cooking method.
Right.
But I do 3 hours, to start out with, and then about an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes wrapped up with a slightly, a bit higher temperature. And then, after that is up, I unwrap them, lightly paint on some sauce, and then, they're only on for like another 15 minutes. So, because the 3-2-1 method is 3 hours unwrapped, 2 hours wrapped, 1 hour unwrapped with sauce.
Yeah.
6 hours, in my opinion, for pork ribs. It's a little too much. I like my ribs moist, a nice pull, not so much on the dry side. I know some people out there like them kind of more dry, but, and so I usually do my ribs. That sweet spot is right in the 4.5, 5 hour cook mark.
Yeah.
And so, these ones came out even better than the previous weekend.
Yeah.
Especially like, you saw in the picture where the meat really pulled back from the end of the rib bones. That was the first time that's happened for me in a very long time. And I'm not sure if it was just those particular racks or because I was worried they weren't going to be done in time. So the first 3 hours I was cooking at 225, and then when I wrapped them, I bumped it up to 290.
No kidding.
So,
wow.
Yeah. And so I think that ended up kind of steaming them a bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's where some of that pullback came from. But this is the first time I've done it in a while where, normally with ribs, I just pull the membrane off the back and call it done.
Yeah.
But these ones, I actually cut off kind of the loose flaps and stuff that are hanging off the edges and everything to make them nice and clean and cut. And I suspect that might also have something to do with that kind of meat pullback on them. But
yeah.
Anyways, all 3 racks, brought them over. I don't know. They probably had about 15 people over. Everybody loved them.
And that's 3 racks of ribs is that's going to feed a crowd. That's a lot of ribs. Now, with that 3-2-1, first, here's the thing with ribs. When you've got a brisket or you've got a pork shoulder, you've got whatever like that, you're going by temperature, right? I mean, there's some feel to it and everything like that as a guide, but you're going by temperature, right? You need to get to a certain internal temp.
There is no set amount of time.
Exactly. It's, when's it going to be done? It's going to be done when it's done.
Done.
Okay, well, I need to know when to set the table. Well, you set the table when I pull the meat off and it rests. So that's just it. It's no clocks. But with ribs, it's different because you can't really, it's hard to get a thermometer in there to begin with just because they're not as thick. But then also ribs they're fairly consistent. And so doing it by time is going to get you a really consistent product. If you got your temp, you've got, your cooking temp and your time. Now, the thing with that 3-2-1, you see a lot of times when people are slow cooking meat, right? And you're doing it on that low temperature, 225, something like that. What happens is the meat will start climbing up in temperature, and then it'll get to a spot and it'll plateau. And some of that plateau is due to moisture coming out of the meat and then evaporating off the surface. And it's the same as, the purpose of sweating for us, right? As it evaporates off the surface, it takes heat off the surface, thus cooling the surface. And so that's where you get that stall, that plateau.
Yep.
And so one of the things that people will do, and this is on all cuts of meat, but ribs especially, where this 3-2-1 came from, was 3 hours they're going to hit that plateau, wrap them up, prevent the moisture from pulling heat off of it, and then that'll get you over that hurdle, and then you unwrap them and go to the end. But Nick, like you said, I think that's way too long for pork ribs. I have recently just ruined so many ribs following the 3-2-1 and just going, why is this not working out? Because I never did 3-2-1 before.
Yeah.
And I went rack after rack after rack, and I thought, I'm doing something wrong. And I'm not. It's the method. It makes them, like you said, dry. It makes them a lot more shreddy, that they get almost a pulled porkish type feel to them. And, that's all fine. They're delicious, but that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm looking for what you made, Nick, which is that beautiful, you got the pullback from the bone, but you slice them, you bite it, you got a little bit of toothsomeness to it. Not tough, not chewy, but there's something to bite. And those are really delicious. And I think that's a championship rib, like you made this last time.
The other thing with the 3-2-1 method is when you wrap, usually you're putting, because you've got your sheet of foil laid out, and then they put down a few pads of butter, and then sprinkle some brown sugar around on the foil with the butter, and then some people even does like a little drizzle of honey, and then they lay the ribs topside facing down on top of all of that and wrap it all up. Look, I mean, some of the rubs that I use, they actually already have sugar in them.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to add more sugar. And usually the ribs that I have, they are plentiful with fat in them. You don't need to add butter to the situation. You don't need to add honey to the situation. I just literally throw the rib upside down on the foil, wrap it all up, put it back in. That's all you need. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really interesting, because we do see that so much. And the interesting thing is, like you said, the rub has the brown sugar in it. Usually when I make a rub, if I'm doing my, my traditional smoked barbecue, right? And this is for, my pork shoulders, this is for my ribs. Brown sugar is already a major element. And then if you later bring in a barbecue sauce, oftentimes that barbecue sauce also has sugar. And so if you're dumping a little bit extra on there, at what point are you just wasting sugar that's, not sticking to the rib, but it's going to stick to your foil and what have you? I agree. Yeah,
definitely. And then with the sauce, and it's funny, I used to never sauce my ribs towards the end. I liked them with the dry rub, and that was it.
Yeah.
But recently I started just a very light painting of sauce on them. Like very, very, like I take a little tiny bit and I stretch it thin over the entire rack as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because then that way, because if you use too much sauce, the point of, putting the sauce on and then putting them back in the smoker is so that sauce isn't all liquidy. Like it actually tacks up. And that's where you get your kind of sticky ribs and everything. But if you use too much sauce, it ain't going to tack up, and it's going to be ribs are a messy thing to eat, but you can minimize the mess if you prepare them properly and use minimal sauce. And really, you don't need that much sauce to begin with.
Yeah.
Sauce is, provides enough flavor, nice flavor to it. But, now if you put too much sauce on, now you're wiping out whatever rub that you put on, and it's, you're not getting a good flavor explosion.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that is one of the things when you're using the dry rub, you're using the sauce, you're using the smoke, you're using the flavor of the rib itself. It's a building, it's a stacking, it's a layering. And as you said, if you come in and you just do too much sauce at the end, Well, look, when you eat ribs, you get it on your hands, you get it on your face. But if it's dripping off the rib all down the front of you, well,
Yep.
then all you've done is just drown all of those other wonderful flavors you stacked in there. And then what's the point? Just do the ribs in the oven and then dunk them in sauce at the end, and you saved yourself a whole bunch of time. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, interestingly, I did some pork myself this last weekend. I had a split pork shoulder. A lot of times you grab and people say, "Oh, this I'm doing a pork shoulder," but it's half of the pork shoulder. They take the whole pork shoulders, about anywhere from 12 to 16 pounds, split it in half, take the bone out of it, and then they'll put those two halves together in a big cryo pack. Or a lot of times at the grocery store, they'll sell the halves individually. You've got the butt and the picnic or whatever it is, top of the
Yep.
shoulder, top of the arm. So I had the 2-pack, and so what I did was, it
Was
was
this the
already
one from
boneless.
Costco?
This was, I believe it was from Costco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's, yes, it was from Costco, so it's the 2-pack, boneless.
Yes.
And so what I did was, I had some family over, and I had a bunch of stuff that I had to do on Saturday, and so I thought, I can't do this traditional. I don't have the time. I'm not gonna get up early enough and start the smoker. I'm not gonna get to it until later in the morning, so I tried out something that's a little bit of a shorter cook, and I butterflied it. So basically took the already boneless and you lay it so that there's a part that's a little bit of flap where they access the bone to cut it out.
Hmm.
And then I followed that cut, slicing along and unrolling it until I had a slab of pork shoulder that looked roughly like a rack of ribs, thicker throughout, but same
Yeah.
kind of shape. And so I treated it in a somewhat similar manner. Now I had 2 of them, so I laid them out. Um, one of them I hit with a, favorite pork rub of mine, Bad Byron's butt rub, and
Hmm.
this is one that I learned about in San Diego, from a spot called Iowa Meat Farms. Wonderful butcher. They were constantly doing barbecue demonstrations, so you go down there on a Saturday, and they have stuff to taste and everything, and they use Bad Byron's butt rub. That's where I found it, fell in love with it. Really good. So one of them, Bad Byron's, both sides. The other one I hit with, some Cajun two-step, right? Our buddy Stale Cracker out there from Louisiana. His Cajun two-step, a very wonderful spice. You can buy it in these small cans, big containers now. But yeah, so I hit that on both sides and then threw those on there, 225, and started it off at like a medium level smoke and then brought it back after about 2 hours. And those, after I think roughly 4.5 hours or so, those were up around the 180 mark. And so rather than keep going and push it up to get pulled pork, right, get 205, something like that, I pulled them off at the 180, let them rest, and then sliced those bad boys up. And we threw those on some Hawaiian sweet rolls
Nice.
and just had little barbecue pork sandwiches. Man, those were good. Those were really good. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
really good. And when you mentioned when you filleted them, they were kind of looking like rib racks.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that's also a good way to kind of make your own homemade McRib sandwich.
Yes. Yes, you could. Yeah, because you're going to have basically a boneless rib. Your flavor is pretty
Yeah.
spot on. Yeah. Now, you know what I did? You know me, I like to do a mop, right? On
Mm-hmm.
on a lot of my barbecue, especially my brisket and my beef ribs. I like to do a mop, come through every 30 to 60 minutes, mop it. It slows down your cook time, but I like a good vinegar base and like that, and it adds a whole bunch of flavor. So on these, I made a mop that was just real thin. Started off with some water, and then I added um, oyster sauce and fish sauce.
Nice.
Okay, that
That's
kind of
some
just
good flavor.
real Asian-y umami in there. Some lemon juice, some white vinegar, and a little bit of tamari sauce. And tamari, I think I've talked about it before. Tamari sauce and soy sauce are exactly the same, my understanding, except soy sauce has a little bit of wheat in it, and
Yeah, it's
tamari sauce
fermented
does
with
not.
wheat. Yeah.
Yeah, and the tamari doesn't. But and so the tamari, I feel like it may just be the brand I buy, has a richer flavor. It's real bold. So a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of that tamari sauce in there, lemon, vinegar, oyster sauce, fish sauce. And then a little bit of black pepper in there, and then a little bit of tomato paste just to kind of round it out a little bit. And, it was real nice, kind of thin, grayish, brownish, cloudy. And I just mopped that on, maybe after 2 hours, then again after 3. And then I think the 4th hour, then let it just go for the last half hour there. And then that was it. And, man, really good. Just really good, rich flavor. I really think it just supported a lot of that porky goodness. And man, those made for some great little pork sliders. Super good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice work. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. I think at some point I'll do a video of butterflying the pork shoulders, just because, I mean, it's, Nick, you and I, we get in there with the knife into the meat. We do it a lot. So I think when I say it to you, you can visualize it, but
Yes.
probably not everybody's getting what I'm laying down. So I'll make a video. Everyone can see it. I'll definitely cook it again. So that's easy. Yeah.
I do have something in the fridge right now that does need to get smoked, but
Oh yeah.
I think at this point, I might be an experiment now.
Well, what do you got?
Well, it's an experiment of how much is too much brine.
Interesting.
Because I've got another brisket brining.
Yeah.
This past Friday was 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So technically it should be ready to go. But I might just wait till the end of this week and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Now, with the last one, I had it in for about a week and a half or so. Just side 2 weeks. I would say probably around 12 days.
Yeah.
But then I took it out, I rinsed it off, but then I let it sit overnight back in the bucket, cleaned with just water. So it took a water bath.
Yeah.
Because I sliced into it and it was just like, it's okay. A little salty. But this time around, I'm using a completely different brine recipe. There's a lot more flavors involved. Well, it's the one that I showed you on the notebook paper. And there's significantly more ingredients in the brine, and just far more flavors involved.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe a little bit less salt than what I had used the previous time. So I'm thinking this time around, I'll let it go for a few more days and probably take it out and just do a rinse on it and then smoke it and see how it turns out. I mean, worst case scenario, it's just too salty and whatever. But yeah, why not?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, like you said, worst case, it's a little too salty, and grind it up and use it as an ingredient in something else that you just put less salt into. And when you figure it out, you'll find a use for it. But yeah, I definitely want to see how that turns out. Absolutely.
Hell yeah. So
yeah. Well, I'm excited. Let me see. Actually, no, I don't think so. I was going to say we've been going for about 37 minutes, but we had several minutes at the beginning. So
yeah,
I don't know if we
are coming up on a 30-minute mark though. But
are we?
Yeah. So
okay. Well,
if we want, we could take a quick little break and we'll come back.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's take a quick break here.
Something we haven't done in a while.
Yeah, like take a break on purpose. Yeah. All right. Well, that sounds good. Let's take a little quick one, see what we insert into this little gap here. And we'll come back in a little bit.
Ciao.
Did you ever get the feeling that there was more to this world than meets the eye?
Ghosts, aliens, interdimensional spirits, cryptids, North Dakota. Well, neither have we.
So come join us as we uncover the true stories and plausible explanations behind famous paranormal urban myths.
From the perspective of skeptics.
But it's funny. We promise it's funny.
So join us in the Least Haunted Podcast, because the only thing that's haunted here is you.
Ah!
Are you a new parent trying to find your way?
Or are you thinking of becoming a new parent and want to know what to expect?
Or do you not plan on having kids but just want to know what it's like.
Nobody without kids wants to know what it's like.
I'm Travis.
I'm Stephanie.
And we have just the show for you.
You, Me, and Squee is a new podcast where we explore the challenges of being new parents and everything we learn along the way. We'll talk about our experiences, different parenting philosophies and trends, giving our own perspectives, and talking about what worked for us and what didn't.
Let's face it, a lot has changed since our parents and grandparents were raising kids. So we're all kind of figuring out this new frontier for ourselves, and it can feel pretty lonely. So come join us for the journey where sometimes we'll laugh, sometimes we'll cry, but we'll always be real with you.
You, Me, and Squee. It beats listening to your childless aunt give her 2 cents.
Or any of your aunts, really.
Drunkenly mix metaphors and shallow happy trails.
All right. Well, that was some interesting trail reports and or promos or whatever they were.
Just empty space.
It probably was just 2 minutes of nothingness just to teach you a lesson.
They're finally like, peace and quiet.
Give everyone a break from our rambling. Well, welcome back, everybody who made it through, and thank you for still being here with us. And now that we've talked about food, made you all hungry, and you've all gone and gotten a snack, now let's talk about some beer. Nick, you went to a brewery.
Yeah, I did. Just this past weekend. It's been a while since we went for a little ride on the motorcycle, so we were looking for places to go to that weren't going to be completely blanketed in wildfire smoke.
Yeah.
And so we found a place up in the little town of Staten, which I don't know, it was about a little over an hour ride for us taking back roads there. Relative to us, it's about northeast.
Yeah.
And I would say it's just about like kind of southeast of Salem, the capital of Oregon. And a cool little brewery called Snow Peak Brewing Company.
Snow Peak.
Yeah, it's quite nice. Went there, and when we pulled up, I was like, oh, the street's closed. That's odd. Turns out that they were closing off the street that day for a little block party because it's, the end of summer's coming and everything. So they had some canopy set up out there with some tables and chairs. They had a trailer at one end of the street where it kind of dead ended with a band playing on it. It was interesting. They're kind of a folky country bluegrass sounding band, but they were doing covers of all kinds of different classic rock songs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So they sounded really great. At what we got there, and it was everything normal. And then we got our beer and we were sitting down, and I had looked down at my phone to check in my beer, and I look up, and the drummer is now wearing a full face motorcycle helmet while he's playing. And I was like, all right, cool. You never know. You just never know if a drumstick's going to end up in your face. But
a lot of people don't realize I, as a lifelong drummer, it's a risky pastime that you have back there behind the drum set. People don't see you because you got, guitar players, bass players, and lead singers and everybody dancing and jumping around, distracting you. But man, back there behind that drum set, man, we are taking some damage. Yeah, that's smart.
Pointy
man. Safety
sticks
first.
Flailing about.
Flailing.
Uncontrollably,
really. We don't even know what we're doing back there.
Yeah. So I was concerned for him after a while because it was a good 85 degrees outside, and dude's playing a drum set in a direct sunlight in a black motorcycle helmet.
Oh my god!
But you know what? Didn't skip a beat, pun intended. But no, it was good. Very welcoming at the brewery. They're kind of looks like an old auto shop front. They've got 2 big roll-up doors side by side next to each other. Smaller operation, I would say maybe in the 10 to 20 barrel range.
Yeah.
Very good beers. Monica and I each got a different one. Since I'm the one that's writing, they had a session IPA called Therapy Session.
Yeah.
And that was quite tasty. It was, I believe, like a 4.7, so it definitely fell in that session IPA range.
Oh yeah.
For those of you not familiar with session IPAs, well, typically IPAs are going to be 5.5% or more in alcohol.
Yeah.
Session IPAs are ones that are brewed with kind of less malts and grains to achieve a lower ABV,
Yeah.
so that you can enjoy multiple in a sitting or session.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy because I've come to expect 5.5 to 6.5 is really the low end. And those are, what you feel like those are a lot of times the lighter offerings. And sometimes you can't even find anything
Yeah.
below a 7 at a lot
Yeah.
of breweries, so getting something that you said was a 4.7.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. No, that's really good. Yeah, something you can definitely have one. Even if you're in the sun, it's not going to knock you straight out. And how was it? Good malt character and everything like that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Despite, like having less malt, it was still a nice malt character. It wasn't overly hoppy or anything.
Yeah.
Um, it was a pretty good day drinking beer.
Nice.
Even if it's hot out, like, cause like sometimes it's a hot day, you ain't trying to lug down like your typical IPA. It's
Right.
just too much. This was perfect. It maybe liken it to a little bit heavier in terms of flavors compared to this Notion Light that I'm drinking here.
Yeah.
Um, but definitely something that could be enjoyed in all temperatures and all day long.
Excellent. Excellent. I like that. And what was that one called? Therapy session?
Therapy session.
I like it. I like it very much. Stephanie would absolutely love that. If we go up there, that's the one she's going to order. I guarantee it.
Oh, totally. But no, it was a great little place. They had some cornhole set up in the street and everything that was closed off.
Yeah.
They had just as we were getting ready to get up and leave, they had a food truck pull up, and that was a barbecue truck. Which is where I
Yes.
learned, I was like, whoa, wow. I didn't realize you could charge that much for a rack of ribs. I apparently am in the wrong business. And I need to get in the rib rack business, because damn, that was dude's making a killing if he's selling full racks. I mean, full rack ribs was $40. And, if you remember what I mentioned earlier in this episode, I can go buy a 3-pack of very nice ribs for on average about $30.
Yeah.
So that's quite a profit there. I mean, even if you factor in rubs and sauce and all that, foil and whatever, I mean, maybe tack on an additional $5-10 for all the rest of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a pretty big profit margin there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if you look at, like, all right, listen, if you're doing 3 racks and you're selling 3 racks and you spent, 4.5 hours on it, like, yeah, for your time. But if this is your business, right, you're doing what, 50 racks? You're doing
Yeah.
them all at the same time. You know
Yep.
what I mean? That's just
Exactly.
good money right there.
Yeah.
All right,
But,
that's going to be our side hustle. Meaty trails. Everyone, don't look that up with the safe search off. Don't.
Yeah.
Or do whatever you're into.
And report back to us. Maybe we'll use that in a trailer report.
Contact@hoppytrails.com. Don't send a link or a screenshot. Just describe it to us.
Yeah. No links. We don't want to. It might be, blocked by, email spam prevention or whatever.
That's right. That's right. We have some pretty high security settings, so don't try us.
Yeah, ultra secure.
So one thing that I love, and Nick, this is something that you've described from a couple of places, is those like shop style roll up doors. And we did a little short on a place that I can't remember what it was called, that you and Monica rode out to, and that place also had those roll up doors. And man, what was it called? I want to say it was called like Stilts or something like that, but it wasn't. But yeah, he talked about those roll up doors. And that's something we're starting to see more and more on places. And I really like it because it gives you that option to, do a half open, do a whole open. Do you want to kind of turn take the barrier between inside and outside? Do you want to take that completely away? It's just I like it. I think it gives a good ambiance, and it's great for breweries and a lot of other places like that.
Absolutely. And it kind of maintains that industrious feel behind a strong craft.
Yeah. Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. Yeah, I like it.
But so yeah, from there, we're
Well,
always
what did Monica drink?
it was an IPA, and honestly I can't remember now, but it was I had a few sips of it and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. It's not like in your face or anything. So it wasn't considered a session IPA, but it was still pretty smooth. So
Yeah.
and light. So yeah, from there we were looking for something to eat before we wanted to head back on the road, and didn't have to go very far. Found a place that was a block down from the brewery called I think it was like North Third. North Third Bar and Restaurant. But it's honestly, I mean, like if you saw a place where it was called like bar and restaurant, you would think like like you're walking into kind of like a dive bar.
Sure. Yeah.
Definitely not that kind of feel. It was actually a very welcoming feel. And just like the Snow Peak Brewing, another place which I thought was a really cool concept for an eating establishment too, is a big roll up bay door.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very
so
nice.
that basically just opens up right to the sidewalk, and then you walk right in, and just table and chairs everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was also a really cool spot. I would classify them more of as kind of like it was definitely more of like a tap house or public house type feel to it.
Okay.
But again, very chill place. There was a few people in there and everything, but just a really overall cool vibe. The way that they had their tap systems, their tap setup was these giant, obviously fake pipes, but these giant fake looking steam pipes that the taps were a part of.
Yeah.
Where they all routed up to the roof and everything to
Oh,
just
cool.
kind of, have that kind of industrial vibe to it and everything.
Yeah.
But no, it was a really cool place. We ended up just getting one beer there, which then after the fact we realized on Untapped, we're like, oh, we've had this beer like 2 or 3 other times, like 2 years ago. But but no, it was actually nice because we, Monica just ordered it, and then she asked me what I was going to have, and I said, oh, I'm just going to share with her. And then I don't think I've ever had this offered to us before. She asked, do you guys want it split across 2 glasses? And I was like,
oh,
sure. Okay. So she poured one beer across 2 glasses. It actually ended up being more like, like a pint glass, but like 3/4 full. So
yeah, very nice.
For the price of one, we got, I feel like 1.5 beer. So,
oh, that's great.
Yeah, no, very nice lady. The food was great. Monica ended up having like this jalapeno cream cheese burger.
Yeah.
I didn't get a bite of it, but it's okay. I was given I was ingesting beer that day, I was trying to be really good and everything, so I went with a nice Asian chicken salad.
Yeah.
That was really good as well. But just it was a cool little the town that we'd never really been there before, and we were kind of just in one part of it that was a little kind of downtown strip vibe to it, but there was a lot of little shops that were open up, boutique places, secondhand clothing store that was more, kind of boutique style, and a couple different little bars, another tap house around the corner. There's a little bakery. Unfortunately, it was closed, called the Lovin' Oven.
The Lovin' Oven.
But just like I was like, damn, this is a cool little town. I would love to live in it. There's so many great little places, all within a 5-minute walk of each other. So
yeah. Oh, that's great.
And then it was the brewery itself was kind of nestled right up against the Santiam River, which is one of the many rivers that flow through Oregon.
I was going to say Oregon. I mean, famously dry, parched state. No, it's full of rivers and lakes everywhere.
Well, I mean,
man.
It is a parched state if you go to the eastern part of Oregon.
High desert.
Yep.
High desert. Yeah.
But in
You know,
the Willamette Valley, very lush.
it's interesting. It's interesting what you were saying about the splitting between the two glasses, because when I think of a lot of places that'll do a half pour, usually it's like, okay, it's $7 for the pint, $4 for a half pour if you just want to, let's say you're
Yeah.
sampling a wider variety. So that's really cool. I mean, usually if you want it split into two, it costs you more. And this way, not only did she not charge you more, but she gave you a little bonus pour on there. That's really good. I think that's excellent
Totally.
customer service. You're going to
For
come
sure.
back. You're going to buy more stuff. I like it. That's
Oh,
great.
definitely. No, we'll definitely be going back there for sure.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's a bunch of other cool little spots that we really wanted to go check out. It's just, we're kind of limited on time and wanted to get back on the road before it got too hot out. So, but
Yeah. And
cool little town that Staten is.
And what was the name of that town again?
Staten.
Staten.
Like stay and then add ton to the end of it.
Yeah.
Staten.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's a place that we definitely have to check out
For sure.
when we come up there.
It's actually not too far from place we'd love to take you guys hiking at with a couple waterfalls. It's called Silver Falls State Park.
Ooh.
And then there's a town north of that park called Silverton, and they have pretty good little brewery there, a couple nice little restaurants as well. So when you guys visit, that'll be a cool little day trip that we can hit all three of those areas. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got to put that on the calendar. Well, there's a few places we need to get to, and I think what is it? Black Wolf Supper Club reached out to us. They said they're going to be doing a little menu change, so
that has taken place, and I think we're gonna try to go this week, probably maybe on like Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
And then we have a local brewery in Eugene. Excuse me, that we want to go ahead and check out as well. I think that Black Wolf let us know about. So
yeah, excellent. That's Black Wolf is a place that, man, every time I see the pictures, I'm just like, my God, it looks so good. I've got to get there, and I definitely want to see what they've got in store with the menu change and some new stuff. I've got to make a trip up there one way or the other. We've got to make it happen.
That's by far, I think, one of our number one restaurant in the area is Black Wolf.
Yeah. Well, speaking of seeing each other, we had an original plan of meeting up for the SAC Beer and Chili Festival, and we're still going to meet up. We're still going to go to SAC and check out some stuff, but unfortunately, festival is being postponed. Right?
It is what it is. Sometimes shit happens, but
yeah.
I'm excited to go meet Julio in person.
Yes.
And go check out his tap room, Lefties.
Oh yeah.
I'm very excited for that weekend. So I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Julio, I mean, not only is Julio a great guy himself, he's got that spot. I keep seeing all the stuff that Lefties is posting on Instagram. It all looks delicious. He's talking about a new breakfast menu that they're working on. So I can't wait to get up there, try all his food, drink some beers, because I think he's got, I don't know, a bunch of taps. And he knows beer. He's been in the industry forever. But he also knows a lot of the folks up there. And so he's going to be able to turn us on to, hey, go check this place out, check that place out, maybe some places we wouldn't have gone to otherwise. And it's going to be a great trip. And yeah, get to see Julio in person, probably do a little recording there and get some more fun stuff. But that's coming up, end of September, right?
Yep. End of September. I'm stoked.
Yeah. So, I mean, if anybody was planning on going and checking out the Chili and Beer Festival, hey, the festival's being postponed. Don't know when it's going to be rescheduled for, but maybe still go. If you're in the area, shoot us a message, right? contact@hoppytrails.com. Let us know. And, we'll say, hey, let's meet up at Lefties and see where we go from there. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think if there's, I'm trying to think, I'm like, man, have I gone anywhere recently? And I have not gone anywhere. I've been under the weather and all of this, and I've just been a real bore. All I've done is, every Friday run over to Alvarado Street and pick up the new releases. And I didn't even go this last Friday. I was thinking right now, I'm like, I didn't even go on Friday. So who knows what I've missed? I got to get over to Star Market and hope they've got some in the back for me. But man, there have been some releases. have I showed you the stuff that's been coming out? That one with that they did with Other Half, and they had the hopped lager. I can't remember who they did that with, but that was a little
Oh
collab there.
wow! I used to have notifications turned on for the Alvarado Instagram account anytime they posted, did a new post, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't miss out on new beer releases and everything. But after we moved, I turned it off because I just get so sad, and I'm like, oh, I can't easily get this.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I haven't been seeing their posts now. But
Well, I think I told you what happened. I generally what I try to do, because we see each other fairly often,
yeah,
right? So even usually if we don't have something planned, I can stash beers away and they're still going to be good by the next time I see you. But
oh yeah,
because I
for
know we're
sure.
going to see you soon, I'm definitely stashing one of everything away. And I think I went to work or something like that, and came home and Steph had a beer during the day, as you do, and I looked, and it was the last Vengeful Barbarian that I'd been saving for you. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so I went, and obviously the brewery's sold out. And then I went over to Star Market, and Victor, he's their beer guy there, and he's great. It's like, Victor, I don't see any out here in the case. Please, please, do you have any in the back? And he's like, come on, let's go to the back. And you kind of dig through, and he actually had a couple that I was missing for you, so I was able to fill in
Oh
some
wow,
gaps.
nice.
So that
It's okay on the Vengeful Barbarian because
no Vengeful Barbarian.
I'm pretty sure we've drank that at least a good 4 or 5 times. So yeah,
I don't doubt it. That's been a good one for many
that
years.
was one of our favorites. Also a great label. I'm pretty sure. Well, not on this fridge, but one of my fridges, I've got a couple Vengeful Barbarian.
Oh yeah,
on them. Yeah. So,
but I was able to grab you the that one that they did with Other Half, Surfing the
Hell
Dirt.
yeah.
I think we talked about that before.
Yeah.
So I got, I think, 2 of those for you, and yeah, I've got some good stuff. So I can't wait to give those to you when I see you.
Excellent. Appreciate
Yeah.
it, brother. I'm
Yeah.
sure I have quite a few for you in the fridge. I just can't think of them at the top of my head. But before we come down, I'll make a go at Claim 52 and a couple other local ones as well.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's so crazy. It's when I can't get out and try a new place, generally speaking, if I make a run over to Alvarado, they're going to have something new that I haven't had yet. So that's always nice. They're a short little, almost a straight shot. I go down one road, make a left, and I'm there. So that's always good for, hey, if I can't get out to a new brewery, I can still get a new beer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you think that this weekend you're going to do that, that corned beef, or do you think you're going to let it go another weekend? What are you thinking?
We'll see how things turn out, but I probably will. I'm going to try to do it this weekend because I think maybe my parents might be coming back up next week. So, I'm sure my mom's going to want pastrami. So I need, there's the smoking aspect of it. And then I got to take it off the smoker and I'll cut it up into 3 separate pieces so I can fit it into my vacuum seal bags. I vacuum seal it after being smoked, and then it's going to sit in a 48-hour sous vide bath.
Ooh, yeah.
Because I don't have
nice.
a steaming tray.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that sounds good. Maybe I'm gonna have your parents pick me up, and I'm gonna ride up there with them. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Nick, that's all I've got for this week.
And that's all I've got.
Well, then I think the only thing that we have left, I mean, we already mentioned the Patreon. We mentioned Instagram. Send us your trail reports at contact@hoppytrails.com. I mean, where else can people find us?
HoppyTrailsPod.com. Take you to that Linktree page. You can email us directly. All the links to get to Patreon, Instagram, some other stuff. Who knows? Sequoia Idea Productions, who host us. Have some
everything.
Other awesome podcasts as well, such as Least Haunted.
Yes. Oh, and you know what? I know You, Me, and Squee has been on a break for a while, but that will be coming back soon. So probably maybe a week or 2 after this episode drops, You, Me, and Squee will be coming back just as good as ever. We've got some new stuff that we're prepared to do.
Awesome. We
yeah, so
love
that'll be-
hearing your guys' parenting stories. They're great.
It's fun. It really is. And if you've got kids that are Drew's age, maybe you can relate. If you have kids that are older, you can remember back. If you don't have kids at all, I mean, sometimes we just talk about some
We
stuff
don't
that's
have kids
true to
at all.
life.
We live vicariously through you.
Yeah.
Through your episodes. So
Well, with that, I think all that's left to do is remind everybody to always say yes to the happy ending.
always say yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
The preceding podcast was produced by Sequoia Productions, LLC, copyright 2022, all rights reserved. If you enjoyed this show and you're looking for more, or even if you're looking for something a little different, check out the other amazing shows by Sequoia Productions, wherever you get your podcasts, or on sequoia.com.
Happy trails to Bruce until we drink again. Happy trails to Bruce. Keep sharing with your friends. Who cares about which IPA tastes better? ABV are just a couple letters. Happy trails to Bruce until we